Is black love still real? Is it hard to date out there? Are there any real good men? Are there any real good women out there? I keep hearing that black love is dying, but I don't accept it. My name is Jerry Maynard. I'm pastor Cathedral of Praise, and this is Soul Success. And we want to discuss black love today, but I want to discuss it from a woman's perspective along with me. That's why I have today with me Morgan Norwood, who has joined me. She is a business partner of mine. We work together on many projects for our clients, and I'm so glad to have you join us, Morgan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is Soul Success, where we talk about who you really are, that the inner person, the person that you are when you're by yourself. Are you happy with yourself? We ask the question, how much do you love yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. How much do you like yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. The higher your score, the better your soul. So that's why we come on the air to talk about these things. These subject matters are important. And I can't think of anything more important than love. And so we want to talk about black love. So Morgan, let's get right down to it. Are there opportunities for healthy love for women who are your age, your group here in Nashville?
I think there are opportunities for women my age to find love, whether they're black, whether they're not black. I think it's a lot harder for our generation because we don't know where to look for love. And I don't think we were properly taught by our parents how to date. And I think that's a big issue that our culture is facing right now. One thing that my dad always taught me right before I went to college, I was very sheltered growing up. I didn't even go to my first party until prom night. So I was very sheltered growing up. But he told me before I came off to college, 650 miles away from home, he said, you need to learn how to date, Morgan. And I did not understand what that meant until when I turned 25 last year.
Oh my Lord.
And so now I'm just like, well, I'm done dating. Now I don't want to date anymore. But I think that right there is the root of the problem. Well, one of the roots of the problem. We don't know how to date. We don't know where to look for the love.
So dating can be multiple things. One, it could just be socialization. Like if you and I just went out to coffee, that was not romantic. That's not a date. But if we went to coffee and you knew I was interested, that's dating. Another way of doing it is dating can be courting, that you know I'm serious. I'm trying to court you. I'm trying to, take you out and wine and dine. And then the other way of dating is literally when you don't have a commitment, but you guys are interested in each other. So you didn't learn either way of those three?
It was more so, it was very like middle school.
Right.
Up until I was 25. Like, this
Lord.
guy likes me.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I think I like this guy.
Okay.
Maybe I'll be his girlfriend.
Right, okay.
I didn't even go on my first date until I was 23.
So, okay, so we talking about a formal, he asks you out, you ask him out, you guys meet or he picks you up, that type of dating?
A good date to me or a real date to me is the gentleman asks me out on a date and he actually funds the date.
Okay.
Like, I didn't even have that experience until I was 23.
Are you serious?
Like most of the times, like a man may sit here and be like, hey, let's go out, let's meet up somewhere. We may do 50-50.
What?
Or if I had several boyfriends at that time or before that time. And, I would pay for dates.
Wow.
Because I was the breadwinner.
Oh my Lord.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that culture. Listen. I have never asked a woman on a date and gone 50-50 on anything. Now, I had a long-term relationship. I think I dated a woman for 9 years. I think she paid for the meal one time in 9 years. And she never paid for trips. She never paid for any of those things because that's just not that culture. I guess you're saying you weren't taught how to date. At least I was taught that.
Yeah.
That you asked a woman out, she doesn't pay.
Look.
And if I ask you out, I'm going to pay. And then if you ask me out, I'm still going to pay.
I wish that was like common sense, but as they say, common sense is not common.
Right.
But
Wow.
Growing up, my family, I grew up in a split family. So my parents divorced when I was about 12, 13. Well, I was 12 and they remarried by the time I was 13, both of them. So I had some pretty good model images of relationships in their second marriages.
Right.
But still how they did finances I noticed that I picked up on that. So
Okay.
my dad, he's the breadwinner. He may take care of the mortgage, but my stepmother may take care of the internet
Okay,
or the
yeah,
water.
yeah, right.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, my dad may take care of dinner, but my stepmother may use her income for vacations out of the country.
Right.
So that kind of dichotomy I saw, and I also observed, you know, my mother and my stepfather. My mother was the breadwinner, so I also observed that dichotomy as well,
Okay.
which I think not understanding strict gender roles when it comes to dating,
Right.
and how finances work in Black homes,
Right.
it transferred over to my dating experiences.
So when you look at love, and first of all, you first started talking about was dating. The good thing is you had a model of love in the house between your mother and or father, or your father and stepmother. You still had a model of love, but you said you weren't even taught how to date though, because you were sheltered. So do you think if you had started in middle school with like a little ice cream social date and then had and gone on a couple of dates in high school, you would have been better prepared as a young woman?
I most definitely would have been better prepared. If I had the opportunity to socialize more outside of sports, I was a year-long athlete.
Okay.
Year-round. So that was the only time I interacted with other people.
Okay.
Outside of like aftercare. I went
Wow.
to aftercare until I was like in 10th grade in high school.
Wow.
Because my mother worked in DC.
Yeah.
But we lived all the way in Northern Virginia. So
Okay.
most of the time, my socializing skills wasn't that great.
Okay, I understand. So it's not even a thing. So there are good men, Black men out here, if you want to date Black men, right? And you're obviously a great person too.
Thanks.
So you have not had that experience that other women have told me, that there are no good men out here. Okay, all right. Let's talk. Or did you pause because you didn't want to do a potty mouth? Is that what pause?
No,
full disclosure, we don't allow potty mouth talking on the show. So I told her, so she's going to pause. If she ever wants to use a bad word, she's going to pause and then
recollect myself.
Right,
recollect
okay.
myself.
Yeah.
I believe on both sides of the coin, just
Okay.
like yin and yang, up, down. There's good people, there's bad people.
Okay.
So I do not sit here and subscribe to the YouTube channel of men ain't.
Right, okay.
But for the most part, I do find that most men right now, they don't know what they want in a woman, and women don't know what they want in a man.
Is that an age group between 20 and 30, or is that just all ages that you've experienced that?
I can say between 20 or 18 to 28.
Okay, 18 to 28.
I feel like that's a good young adult range to pick from.
And when you say that they don't know what they want, let's talk from a male's perspective. Let's talk about from a female's perspective about men. They don't know if they want a relationship and they just want to have a friend. They just want friends with benefits, or they don't know what they want as far as quality of the woman, characteristics of the woman, what type of woman or relationship they want.
They don't know what type of quality of the man that they want. Let's say, for example, if I said, hey, I want a man that makes 6 figures.
Okay.
And I don't sit here and know what jobs a man makes at 6 figures.
Okay.
That's basic right there, because now I have to sit here and think backwards. People don't work backwards from the goal. So if I say, I want a man that makes six figures, okay, here's a list of jobs that these men may have. He may be a doctor, he may be X, Y, and Z, right? Then it's like, okay, do I feel like I would align with a person that has that type of job? Do I like the qualities of maybe my doctor? You know what I mean? Do I want to live that type of lifestyle? Then you go back to what's the likelihood of those people in my city?
Yeah.
So when I talk about people don't know what they want in the other person, that's just on a basic level. And then a lot of times people don't know how they want to be loved from that other person. So they can't even properly communicate, say like, hey, I know that I want this type of person with these types of characteristics in financial aspect. I also want this type of person with this characteristics with communication and love. You don't know that. You don't even know half of those things.
Wow. So, okay, from male perspective, oftentimes we're caught up in looks, not so much how much money they make. Well, I'll speak for those who are 45 and over.
Okay.
You don't have to make as much money as we have to make. You don't have to make 6 figures. You have to be a good woman. You have to be loyal. You have to be honest. If I want kids, we got to be able to have kids. If I have kids, You got to be able to respect, the fact that I've got kids. But we are really not. And then body count is important to us, to men. Just being honest.
So I feel like that's the thing for all.
Okay,
men,
for everybody.
For all
right.
men.
So
hypocritically, but
yeah, hypocritically, right? Because don't ask me mine. I ain't telling nobody.
Exactly.
I ain't telling my.
What's
body
that Drake
count.
line that he said? You gotta multiply it by like 20. If she tell you 3, you gotta multiply it by 20. I'm like, Drake, that is not true. May fudge a little bit.
He
but
was talking about himself.
He was.
He was really. He's projected on somebody else. But so for men, we're really not so much concerned about your finance. Most men. For women, why is finance so important?
Well, if you look at the traditional gender roles in a relationship, women, they have that nurturing aspect, but also the man is supposed to be the provider.
Right.
The man is supposed to take care of the household.
Right.
And on a basic level, that's going to require finances.
Right.
I'm not saying that, a lot of these conversations that are purported on the internet being like, oh no, like this man needs to pay me to see me, or this man needs to buy me this new bag, or he needs to sit here and fund my entire life. I do not subscribe to that conversation.
Right.
But on the basic level, if you want me to be a nurturer of the home and raise a family,
Right.
you got to also be able to provide. I
agree with that. Now, I want to go, because I'm going to switch up on you. You mentioned three different times about YouTube, the internet. So it seems like your generation has literally grown up being educated not by people who will like share with you, like you said, how to date this, and this, but you guys have learned so much on the internet. So that means IG, YouTube, and TikTok, all these other podcasts, I guess. Is that where you all getting your information about love and black love?
Well, I do want to put a caveat in there that education is a loose application of that word.
Okay.
Because even though
indoctrinated.
Yes, that's a better word. Because
Okay.
even though people get their information from the internet, my professor used this beautiful analogy when I was in college. He said, Morgan, your brain is not like a basket where you put the water in and it flows right out.
Yeah.
That these people that are on the internet and getting their life advice and how they should live just in general from the internet, their brains are like baskets where they really don't know how to sift through information that is important or that is correct. They more so just like say, hey, this is what's popular right now, or this is what I see in front of me consistently.
Right.
So this must be right.
Right.
They don't do any due diligence to check and say like, hey, like where's the source coming from? Or so that's why I say education is more of like a loose application, more like indoctrination, and it makes me think like, who's behind pushing this type of culture?
And that's exactly right. So like NWA, right? So I was growing up, rap music, a lot of it was positive. Some of it, they were talking about crime in New York. They were talking about police brutality. They were talking about issues like that. And then all of a sudden, here comes NWA, niggas with attitude. And all of a sudden, it changed music. Now it's so ratchet. Rap music is just so ratchet right now. So rap music used to be empowering. But then somebody in our music industry began to really push criminality, prison culture, all kind of other things, disrespect of women. And so all of a sudden our culture began to shift in certain areas. One of the things I noticed between white men and black men, the white guys could hear the music and knew it was entertaining. Black men then tried to live it. And I'm seeing black men trying to be video gangsters. Like, wait a minute, you know you grew up with a mama and daddy, you know you ain't not a gangster. And yet you're gonna try to act like you so hard because you're seeing that culture. And I also think that, I'm thinking that a lot of women adopt a lot of the culture upon themselves based on what they see online, in the music and in the culture. Because I'm telling you, I could not watch the BET Awards. I'm not a prude. I've not been saved all my life. So I've been a heathen and I love women. But the BET Awards was even too much for me. I was like, I can't even, this is,
I didn't even turn on the BET Awards after I saw the VMAs. And I watched the VMAs at Aladdin's and I see Sabrina Carpenter kissing an alien.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I'm like, why are you trying to make this normal? What are y'all trying to say?
Right.
But go, before I go on my conspiracy theory soapbox, okay. But to go back to what you were saying about the music industry shifting, and now it's perpetuating a different culture that most people in the Black community can't determine is as entertainment. I think that's on purpose.
Yeah.
I think it's strictly on purpose. And I think the reason that white people can differentiate between it being entertainment is, I think, the subconscious division that was always there between the races. They know that, hey, like at the end of the day, we're not going to go out here and do this to our own.
Right.
If they want to do it, they can.
Right.
And the hypersexualization of women, what is that only going to lead to?
So does that block love? Does that block men and women from being in loving relationships? The hyper.
Absolutely, because we have to look at it and for what it is. Mm-hmm. When you look online, they tell you to love your body, and they say, hey, you can wear revealing clothes because you're empowering yourself. How am I empowering myself? By being scantily clad.
Right.
How?
Right.
That is a worldly view of femininity. Worldly view of femininity.
Right.
That's a very hard word for me to say.
No problem.
But the godly view would not ask you to do that.
Right.
Was Ruth naked?
No.
Was Esther naked?
No.
And these are things that people don't, this is what I'm saying, their brains are like baskets. They do not pay attention to that. Mm-hmm. Because why would they sit here and have Lotto come perform at HBCU homecoming in shorts this tiny in front of very impressionable young women?
Right.
And she's very successful, and they see, oh, that's what I got. That's one of the things I can do to get success. Mm-hmm. In her music, she talks about, all of the benefits that she get from sleeping with a man. All that's going to do is sit here and put more of the world onto these people, onto these young men, these young women.
And we normalize it.
And we normalize it.
And then men then expect that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. So then, like, for example, there was a study done. I was at a ministerial conference, and they were talking about our young men are now so engaged in pornography that when they then have intimacy with women, they don't know how to have healthy, intimate, respectful, dignified sex because they've been watching porn thinking, oh, this is the way it's supposed to go down. Like, no, not unless they're consensual, but that's not the way. But they've been indoctrinated with that. And so they were teaching us that we had to teach our young men how to have intimacy without the sex, and that intimacy is more powerful than the act itself of having sex. And so we've got to go back, and now we have to re-educate ourselves in that. Well, we're in Black Love, we're about to go to deal with culture, and I'm so glad you joined us. We're going to have part 2 coming up, where we're going to talk about the culture and how it's impacted women, how they feel about themselves, the culture, how it impacts Black men. Can we get Black love back? Can we make Black love sexy again? And we're going to talk about it. Join us next Thursday at 7 o'clock. We appreciate you. We'll see you then.